Yes, sir. We are back. We are back once again. Welcome back to the Sick Podcast Anvil Show. I know we're getting some OTA stuff in, but you know what? We still got some things to talk about. So, Sammy, bring us in.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Anvil Show.
One over the intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah. We are back. Sick Podcast Anvil Show is back, bringing to you all cult stuff, and like I said, we try to make sure we're being as I'm gonna say central or centrist as possible. As you can see, we don't have Clyde with us this evening, but you know exactly who this is. I'm CJ. With me, let the people know who you are if they don't already.
Big P.
That's diabolical. But you know what? Let's go ahead and get. I don't have the anvil, but so whatever. You listen. Oh!
Sammy with the save.
Yes, sir. Okay, I love it. Sammy already had that cute. I appreciate you, player. All right. So you know what? It's officially we're now past the draft, right? And we're getting into that time period where we're gonna start seeing some things leaked from OTAs and what we're gonna call T-shirt practices. And before we get into that, I don't think we necessarily talked. I don't think we talked a whole lot about the draft last week, right? Because I know that we just kind of talked about it, but we didn't really go in depth with it.
Yeah, there was a lot to talk about and not enough time to do it.
Very much so. Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I'm gonna say after getting the opportunity to just kind of, I want to say, have the chance to look at the actual class, just really break down these players. Initially, I said that the draft was a C. But after watching the draft, I want to say I gave it like a B minus C plus. Yes, yes, yes. You heard
Wow.
me. The only reason why I said C was just because initially I thought that these were guys that were more so just reaches, right? Because what was the initial thought? Oh well, JTT is just like you know he he was decent for Ohio State. He was good for Ohio State, but he wasn't somebody who just jumped off the board, right? Jumped off the board like the Will Johnsons of the world or the people that we initially talked about. But really taking the opportunity to just kind of like sit down and look at some of the prospects, like hearing the things that we've heard about Wally. I feel like those now, mind you, I don't think it changed the fact that we still kind of feel to an extent they were reaches, but honestly, I feel like what we got when it came down to like those second, third round picks, those ended up being guys who I think are going to be ideal for Lou Anarumo's system, right?
Mhm.
Because Lou's not running the same system that Gus Bradley ran. Gus Bradley ran a system where, I think with those guys, if they would have picked those guys and you told me they were going to be in Gus Bradley's defense, I would have been like, we're going to waste them, right? But I mean, Lou's system is going to allow them to have a little bit more freedom to move around. There's going to be much more movement, I'm going to say pre snap. So, like somebody like JTT is going to be tough, I'm going to say to defend because the guy's a power rusher. And I'm going to say that he is possibly somebody who is gonna maybe take away some snaps from Quiddy. I'm sounding like I said. It's just like if you don't like what I'm saying, put it in the comments because you know what? I want to hear from y'all because for me, Quiddy is he's to decent pass rusher. And I mean, I think where he excels is in the run game. And I think even then, it's just like there's still something to be desired. But I think like if you have somebody who's going to be coming in and is going to be like a legit pass rusher that I want opposite Latu, I absolutely want to be able to see JTT and see what he has to do because I mean, like I said, he is physical like his physicality is crazy.
It is, and I tell you, when training camp starts, that's one question that's already at the front of my mind with Coach Lou
Yeah.
is the fact that they only played Latu like 52% of the snaps.
Yeah.
He was your 16th overall pick,
Yeah, like 15. He was
and
15.
that is all you play him. And that to me was 100% a Gus issue. I want to see what Coach Lou says about playing time for these young guys, and what's the difference of having him on the field versus off the field, because everything that we've grown accustomed to, reps, time, this, that, then they're ready to go.
Yeah.
You only get it when you're on the field. So 52% of the time for Latu was horrible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I didn't understand
absolutely.
it, and I hope they don't go the same route with JTT.
But I don't think so because, like I said, we're dealing with a defensive coordinator that absolutely knows how to utilize his guys properly. Like the issue that I had with Gus Bradley was that he wanted certain type of players and he only wanted them to play a certain type of way.
Yeah.
And even when he had the opportunity to switch things up, he would switch them up. And whether it worked out very well or whether it didn't work out, he legit went away from that and went right back to the stuff that he was doing previously. And that's where my issue always was with Gus Bradley because why are you, why are you so hesitant or why are you so against, I'm going to say like why are you so against the like evolving to make sure that your scheme is matching what's going on here? Like it's just like your scheme was great in the 2010s. Fantastic. Now, not so much. Like, nah. So yeah, that just didn't that to me it's just like it didn't make sense. It wasn't something that absolutely was a good thing. But I think now with Lou is going to be able to utilize these guys. And I think Lou is maybe in an even better position because now it's just like you don't have to worry about utilizing only who you have there. There was actually a concerted effort to make sure that you're bringing in people who are going to be able to contribute. So,
Facts.
and also, hey, Sammy, can you go back to that OSU guy comment right there? Yes. So, from Sick Podcast Anvil Show, I'm guessing that this has to be Clyde. I don't like what you're saying. The OSU guy supplants the guy? No. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. JTT is going to supplant. He's going to put him in the ground like a seed, and he's going to cover him and not water him because Quiddy Pay will only emerge if his butt is put to the fire. So, yes, the OSU guy will supplant the guy.
Yeah, and I tell you right now, Clyde and anybody else that's hung up on their college team at this level, come on, be better than that.
Well,
I don't care. I don't care if it's a Michigan guy, a Tennessee guy, an Alabama guy, or Notre Dame guy. I want the best guy doing the job. Point blank. Period. I don't care what college he went to. Get off that shit. We're grown-ups. We want to win.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And then also, this goes without saying, we want the best possible product. And, Quiddy Pay ain't no Aiden Hutchinson. But I mean, at the end of the day, we need to get the best available. And honestly, if JTT is the best available pass rusher and he's going to make sure that we're pressuring the quarterback regularly, then fantastic. Oh yeah, and also Riley Leonard made no sense for us to pick him up, but I mean, he's a camp body, so it is what it is. Like Riley Leonard is a camp body, so and I think the only other thing that I wanted to make sure that we kind of discussed, and then we could just talk about some more recent happenings. Like I said, Justin Wally and Hunter Waller. I think the overarching theme for this defense is going to be um, physicality. And I don't know whether it's just an AFC North thing or if it's a Lou Anarumo thing, but I mean, honestly, I think that this is going to be a defense that is going to be very aggressive in making sure that they're attacking exactly who needs to be attacked when it comes down to playing the defense properly, the way that we do, not waiting for things to come to the team, waiting for the defense to go directly into it and do what we need to do. Because if I'm being honest, I really got sick of watching our defense just have to react to what was happening, as opposed to going to the cornerback and punching him in the mouth. Not literally, because I mean, when you go against certain quarterbacks, you can't even, lay an index finger on them. But I think Lou's defense is going to be way more aggressive. And JTT's an aggressive rusher. Justin Wally's an aggressive corner. Even Hunter Waller, for him to be in the seventh round, or for him to be a seventh round pick, he was a very aggressive tackler, somebody who isn't afraid of that contact.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I love my defense. Absolutely. That's been my bread and butter since Bantam.
Mm-hmm.
So to see the defense that we seen last year, you talk about disappointment. Man, it was so heartbreaking to see Gus take our guys and just hamstring them.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts. So Lou better come out the gate, be aggressive, and smack everybody in the friggin' mouth, because that's what a defense is supposed to do.
100%. Absolutely. And
yeah, you guys can shake hands when the game is over, but during the game, people better be getting their mouths busted. That's all I'm going to say. That's what I want my defense to do. Be in the right spots. Be aggressive. Take those chances.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Get to that quarterback. Disrupt everything. Don't be lopsided where the opposing offense is on the field 72% of the time.
Yeah.
And your defense is on the field that same amount of time. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I think some of the arguments that we have right now, I think are centered around, okay, well, and the thing is, I'm not saying that this is necessarily like what was said verbatim, but I think a lot of the arguments that we have is that, okay, well, the defense was bad, so AR didn't get a chance to develop properly, or saying, well, no, AR was bad, so the defense spent a lot more time on the field than they needed to. And I think at the end of it all, the proof is going to be in the fact that we had a bottom 5 defense, but we also had I think it was a bottom 5 passing attack. But the difference is that the bottom 5 defense was the run defense and the passing defense as a whole, whereas the offense still, I think we were top 10 rushing offense with a passing offense that was bottom 5. So I don't think it's unfair to say that if the passing offense is any better than, or I'm going to say is slightly better, even in that top 20 range, there's no reason to say that this can't be a top 10 offense. Just even if we're consistent with the rushing offense, right? But the defense as a whole, if the defense is a top 20 defense, there's no reason to believe this team can't have 11 wins, mathematically at least.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you this. The only reason that you can pin Anthony or any member of the offense for the defense being back on the field is turnovers. Past that, it is 100% on the defense to get off the field.
Yeah.
But the schemes that Gus Bradley ran last year, this bend and break defenses, and that's what I'm calling it, wouldn't allow them to get off the daggum field. You got them at 3rd and 8. You have your corners 12 yards off the ball. Everybody got a first down whenever the hell they wanted to. That has nothing to do with the offense. Now, if it was a turnover and the defense came back on the field, that's the reason they were on the field. But the reason they stayed on the field was them and them alone. So the argument that Anthony was the cause of the defense, or somebody else was the cause of the defense being on the field for so long, yeah, we just blew your theory, because it's not even a theory. It's just blowing smoke out your tailpipe, because that's not the way the game's played. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Yeah, and that's all the more reason why, like, I think preaching to the development aspect of AR is going to be much more important than just talking about what we're looking at in terms of, I'm going to say it's going to be much more important than just saying, well, we're going to see what happens, because if this doesn't happen, then, like, we're going to be looking at having to be in the draft. Because I mean, honestly, this year you can absolutely look at it as a make or break year. But if you know for a fact that he's going to develop, or you see development, or you see that he's better, you see that the mechanics are better, you see everything, then there's no reason to believe that he wouldn't be able to continue improvement as long as he stays healthy. Now, the health,
Right.
if we're talking about health, absolutely, we can say yes, like that's a big deal, because like, as improved as he can be, if he's out there throwing 60% completion percentage, fantastic. But if he's not on the field to throw it, then it's no good.
Facts.
So, I mean, honestly, I think that's going to be like what we are shown. I mean, it's I want to say this is going to be a pivotal year, but I also believe that this is going to be a surprising year as well. So I'm can't say else. And he can complete short passes. I want to see Riley play. I mean, it like I'm losing faith in AR. He can't stay healthy, or he can't complete short passes. I want to see Riley play. Sir, I don't know if you understand. And I'm sitting on this podcast with a Notre Dame fan. Do you really believe in your heart of hearts that Riley Leonard is just going to come in and play automatically, and he is just going to be the answer to everything?
No.
When in this class, this quarterback class, nobody really jumped off the board by any stretch of the imagination. And I mean, I know Notre Dame fans, and Notre Dame fans are like, they'll sit there and they'll talk playfully about Riley Leonard, but nobody's talking seriously about wanting Riley Leonard in there in any way, shape, or form, outside of maybe a little bit of trolling.
I think Riley's going to be a good backup quarterback, a good reliable backup quarterback, and then in the NFL. I don't know where. I don't think it's going to be for us. I don't think he can beat out Jason Bean for that third spot. I really don't. And I would have gave body parts to play for Lou Holtz. That's how big of a Notre Dame nut I am.
Gotcha.
So, but just being honest, I mean, he's a good quarterback. If fundamentally he's sound, but he's not exceptional.
Yeah.
And it takes that exceptional kind of quality to make you that franchise quarterback. He doesn't have that. He's a good quarterback. He's solid, but he's not exceptional. So don't expect him to come out in training camp and just automatically have these exceptional abilities. Because if he would have had him, he would have showed him in college, and he didn't.
So it's I'm gonna say, so he's a tall Sam Ellinger.
Yeah, got a good arm, good head. He's got good eyes, but he just doesn't have those
intangibles.
You can't coach those kind of things. You can't coach what Peyton Manning had in his head. He just had them. He's seen things differently. You can't coach what Patrick Mahomes does. You can't coach what Lamar Jackson does, because they are exceptional qualities. And he doesn't have those. Now, he's got a good arm. He's got a a good brain. He sees the field very, very well. Go back and watch his college tapes. He didn't make that many mistakes throwing the ball down the field. He's very smart. Good arm. But that is only going to equate to a good backup in this league.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sorry. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and you know what? I think everything is kind of overblown right now. Like I said, I think we talked about it last season. Like we talked about it when before the season where we said AR not having a whole off season is going to be to his detriment because honestly, it's just like rehabbing from that. Um, rehabbing from the injury didn't allow him to do the things like working with mechanics coach, didn't allow him to do the things like making sure that he's properly working on his footwork and making sure that that's done. So I mean, I think he's going to be able to I think he still is going to be able to put everything together. I just think that now, like dealing with the changes in the mechanics as well as the footwork, that's going to be something that's going to work a little bit more into his fluidity and how he's able to attack in terms of how he's going to be a better passer. At least for me personally.
I agree. And no, this is something I want you to think about. What AR is learning now and what you're missing from AR is what Riley already has. He has those sound mechanics. He has those sound footing. But those are coachable things. What else AR brings to the table, you can't coach that.
Yeah.
Those are God-given abilities that everybody has.
Yeah. And I think
that's the difference. Now look, like I said, I'm not bashing on Riley by no means. But if you break it down and you analyze his game, he doesn't have that it factor.
Yeah.
And every great quarterback has to have that it factor. Look around the league and name off the top 10 quarterbacks right now. And each one of them has a different it factor that sets them apart.
Yeah.
I never seen the it factor for Lincoln Riley. I've seen a good quarterback. I've seen a solid quarterback. I've seen a fundamental quarterback.
Oh, you mean Riley Leonard?
Yeah, that's who I meant.
Okay.
But if you don't have that it factor, it's not. You will not be a franchise quarterback in this league. The quarterback position is too large not to have that trait. Nathan said something about if AR gets hurt again, he doesn't see him coming back. That's very possible. Very, very possible. But if he doesn't come back, that doesn't mean that he's stepping into that role.
Yeah.
Because he's got to beat out Jason Bean to stay on the roster, or at least the practice squad. You see what I'm saying? And I just don't see him making it through training camp. Not because he's a bad quarterback, but because he doesn't have that it factor that every coach is looking for.
Yeah.
He's going to be shopped around the league, and he'll get some playing time. He'll show his mechanics, and it's good for him. And I hope he gets the best out of this adventure that he's on right now that he can get. But I don't see him taking over anybody that we have. And I'm not a Daniel Jones fan. I made that clear when we picked him up in free agency. He can't even beat out Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's and like I said, and we'll actually talk about that in a second because we've seen both AR and Daniel Jones, if not limited, but I I don't think there's going to be a case where I don't think AR loses out to Daniel Jones because I think Daniel Jones has he's had 6 years or 5 to 6 years of proving that Nah, Daniel Jones is not the answer because and like I said, we can speak on this real quick, then move on. But Daniel Jones proved in that time that he can absolutely be a good quarterback if you have a system that's dependent on making sure that he's dinking and dunking as much as possible, and that he's running RPO, and that Saquon Barkley is in his backfield. That's what Daniel Jones has proven in his time in the league. And to me, that's just not enough to be able to say, "Hey, this is actually going to be the case." And there's certain fans that will say, "Oh no, well he's never had this and he's never had that," and that's fantastic. But you want Daniel Jones to come in for what? Because if you don't like AR, fine, I'm completely fine. Just say that you don't like AR, but don't don't say what you're saying in regards to AR, and then come to me and speak about Daniel Jones as if he's somebody who even should remotely be considered as a viable quarterback and a quarterback that you will go to year after year.
I agree because look who he had coaching him last 2 years. Dabo. Where'd Dabo come from? Buffalo. Who's the quarterback of Buffalo?
Josh Allen.
And we all seen his progression under Dabo.
Yep.
But Mr. Danny Dimes gets cut before midseason under Dabo. I mean, that's to me speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Just connecting those dots right there. That right there speaks volumes to me.
Well, yeah, and I think it's not just that, but once again, it's just like, salary cap year after year is something that, teams have to kind of navigate. And the thing about the Giants is that the Giants, with no quarterback on the roster, they were going to have to go out and sign somebody anyway or draft somebody. But the thing is, when you have Daniel Jones on the roster and you say, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and let you go," and people are trying to say, "Oh, well, the Giants did him dirty, this, that, and the other." Um, no, they didn't, because no matter what, he was able to still be paid all that, or not all the money, but he was still able to be paid even though he wasn't on the roster.
Yeah, he got a big old guaranteed check, guaranteed. Because I think they re-signed him the year before for 140.
They re-signed him. They re-signed him right after they went to that playoffs.
Yeah, and I think half of that was guaranteed. Kid's not hurting for nothing. Yeah. So if he don't make it out here in Indy, I'm not feeling bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like he'll potentially be a backup, but then also on top of that, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, at what point are we sitting here saying? Because like I said, if you just want AR out, then that's fine. Just say that. But also, if Daniel Jones is even remotely slightly successful, let's just say we get to 9-8, and AR doesn't play and Daniel Jones plays. Are we really going to be comfortable knowing that we're going to be possibly paying him another contract?
I won't. I wouldn't be comfortable at all.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
we've seen the roller coaster in New York. We've seen it.
And that's one of those situations where everything has to line up perfectly in order for him to be exactly what his first round billing made him. And even then, that was not the case. So, I mean, it is what it is. But you know what? I think moving on to the next part, and mind you, we're still talking about AR and Daniel Jones. But over the last week, we've gotten to see some clips of both AR and Daniel Jones throwing. We had an opportunity to see AR throwing to AD Mitchell in one when they were doing indoor practices last week. We had a chance to see Daniel Jones throwing a pass to Mo Ali Cox. And then we saw today a pass from AR to Josh Downs. Low pass, I believe it's just like within 5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But And here's what we're gonna do, because like I said, this is that lull season. This is that time where we got to talk about this stuff, but we're not gonna super dissect it or nothing like that.
we got to beat a dead horse 15 damn times because there's nothing else to talk about.
Exactly. But but we
That's
can,
our lives that we're in right now.
yes,
Sorry.
but we can be very honest about it, right? So everybody's been kind of itching to get the um to see like what AR was going to do, right? Because there was no video of him doing the mechanics work or anything like that. All it was just a lot of rumors. We got one picture a month ago, and that was about it. But now we're seeing that there's more of an influx of social media, and we know that we're going to get social media because we're in that OTA phase, right? So we got a chance to see AR throwing one to AD Mitchell. Like I said, t-shirt throws. We got a chance to see Daniel Jones throwing it to Mo Ali Cox. And I even made a joke. Somebody was just like, "Oh yeah, Daniel Jones QB1." I was like, "If Daniel Jones is QB1, then Mo Ali Cox is tight end one." So, I mean, you can do with that information what you will. So yes, but then we saw that pass today. So I'm going to say, without being too scientific or doctoring everything, how do you feel about what we've seen thus far from? And we can speak on Daniel Jones and AR, but how do you feel based on what we've seen in these limited clips?
I don't feel anything. I'm sorry. What we're seeing right now is what we've seen at the combine.
Hmm.
There's no pressure on them. There's no pads, no helmets. It's toss around the football is all we're
Yep.
getting to see right now. So I'm not going to say, oh yeah, AR, he's looking great. Daniel Jones, oh my God, he's going to take over. I personally can't go that deep into these kind of videos because it's not there. Give me some 7-on-7 action. Get some pressure on him. Let's see how his mechanics are looking there when there's some pressure on him. Then I'm going to have more of an opinion on what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But just backyard football is all that is right now.
Yeah.
So you can't really expect a whole lot from these videos. Now it was nice to see it. It was nice to see the over the shoulder and down snatch it and bring it in, and he was up the seam. Loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But to try to break it down and digest it and, give it some actual thought behind it, I don't see it because there's not enough to digest. It's just
Yeah.
backyard football right now. It's keeping everybody loose. It's starting the rhythm, these little mini camps, then into OTAs. That's what starts your rhythm into training camp. Then training camp, you refine that rhythm. And hopefully you got it down game one.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be too critical on either one of them until at least 7-on-7.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you got big growth coming at you, that changes shit.
Yeah, first off, pause. First off, that's a big pause, Pat. Like you gotta.
You know what I
preface-
mean, you sicko.
Hey, listen, I mean, I do, but for the highly impressionable out there, you need to relax. All right. So yes.
Okay, Big Grove Stewart. How's that? Is that a little better?
There you go.
A little better. Yeah, because he's what 300 and
Yeah,
something.
he's a
Yeah, he's a monster of a man. That's gonna change some mechanics when you're trying to get away from a big guy like that, even though he's not going to touch you.
Yeah.
In your head, you're like, oh, and you're moving, and that changes your mechanics. Now, did he learn enough this past off season to reset those mechanics when he has to? Because you're not going to have a clean pocket, but 2% of the time, maybe throughout the entire season, that's all the clean pocket you get. So
Yeah.
these are the fundamentals that I am looking for, that he is upped his game. I think Nathan asked a question earlier, what we wanted to see, what kind of growth we wanted to see from Anthony. And to me, that's what I want to see. I want to see, is this young man truly learning and getting these mechanics down?
Yeah.
Because you can have the legs of Derrick Henry, you can have the arm of whoever, you can have everything you want, but if you don't have fundamental mechanics, you're dog pile.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's
you really do have to have those fundamentals to play, and then you have to have those it factors to be that franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
I'm
think
sorry, I went on a tangent there.
No. It's all good. It's all good. Tangents help us with content time. So yes, but no, but I think
Now,
just
can I explain something real quick before you get into your thought?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead.
No, but I know everybody that's listening tomorrow on Z103 and Mix 105, we're saying JTT. And we're saying JTT, and I meant to bring this up earlier when we were speaking of him. And we're saying his first name's JT, but his last name starts with a T, and we can't pronounce the rest of it.
Tuimoloau.
Yeah, you say that twice real fast.
Tuimoloau.
Yeah, he just screwed it up. But that's why we say JTT.
What? How you want to tell me I screwed it up? You can't even say it.
Play it back for him, Sammy.
You just thought about it and started sweating.
Oh no, I'm not even thinking about it. That word's too big for my head to even think about. But I just wanted to explain to everybody out there in the radio land that's going to be listening. That's why we say JTT. He was our second pick in this year's draft. So if you want to learn how to say his name, good luck. Because I'm sticking with JTT. All right, I'll quit interrupting you, sir.
All right. So, well, what I was gonna say, and just kind of going back to like I said, what Nathan mentioned, and I think also for Augustine, right? So they said,
yes,
they said, hey, what is the? I was like, what are the expectations, right? And the thing is, for me, it's just like I don't want to continue to try to put a number on it. I want us to be able to, I'm going to say, just speak to what it is that we are looking forward to the most in terms of AR to truly know that he's progressed or that he's developed or that he's evolved as a quarterback. And I think it's the things that we talk about. It's the mechanics, it's his footwork. Like in the video that was posted today, we got a chance to see some of the footwork stuff, and we saw it's just like the footwork looks a little bit cleaner. Now, mind you, once again, t-shirt passes, so be it. But the thing is, the footwork looked to be something that he actually had been working on or that he'd been working to improve. Now, in regards to AR, I think for me personally, what I'm looking for is him being able to just hit that 10 and under box, right? Because mind you, the route today was an out to Josh Downs. But I think the biggest thing that I'm looking at is how he's going to attack the underneath. Because teams last year, there was no surprise that teams were actually like, they're playing back, they're playing deeper because they knew that AR can throw deep and they know that he's going to throw deep a little bit more often than anybody would care to mention. So if I'm looking at how this team is, or I'm looking at how AR is now, I'm looking at how is he going to make sure that when the teams decide to take away the over the top, that you're making sure that you're exploiting within 15 yards, because that's going to be where we can do it. And mind you, it's not like we don't have the guys that will be able to do it. Now, mind you, Pittman is going to be your guy. He's going to be your possession guy. He's going to be your guy that you can trust to go ahead and bring the ball down if you go ahead and throw it up to him. But the thing is, between AP, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and AD Mitchell, you have three potential yak monsters. I think more so also with somebody like AD Mitchell or even Josh Downs, where Josh Downs is it has the agility enough to be able to hit somebody I'm going to say catch the ball at let's just say the 25-yard line and take the ball up for an extra 10 yards because he's going to be absolutely tough to bring down. So it's to me, it's going to be AR being able to just really, just like I said, just exploit those underneath passes, but then also really just not necessarily just bail out and go for the run. Really, just go for the run when you know for a fact that you can, and then also just slide a little bit more consistent. Like, don't try to just go for the get extra yards and then make contact, out of nowhere. Like legit, if you get 20 yards, then and you see somebody's coming near you, slide. Go on ahead and slide because that's going to be, I'm going to say, much more meaningful than trying to get extra yards and taking unnecessary contact and
Absolutely.
potentially having yourself worn down. So for me, it's not necessarily going to be, oh, well, he's going to be throwing for 350 a game or he's going to be throwing for 3,500 this season. It's going to be, how are you making sure that you're exploiting teams trying to make you one dimensional? And to me, like that's going to be the biggest deal for his development in terms of what we're able to do. Like I said, if he gets to these games, like let's just say if in that first game teams are playing him deep and he hits 5 consecutive passes that are 15 and under, I will absolutely do a backflip. I will probably hurt myself, but I will do a backflip because at that point you know that he's exploiting something that teams have tried to make him do for so long, and now he does that in the game because of the development, because of what he did this offseason to make sure that he busted his ass and get him to where he needs to be.
I tell you, Chris, what I'm looking for is his self-acknowledgement.
Yeah.
When he makes a bad play, I want to see how he reacts to it. Happens.
Yeah.
And then I want to see how he reacts and changes it when he comes back on the field. Because anybody can screw up. We're all human. You know, that game is really, really fast as soon as that ball is hiked. You know, so making mistakes is going to happen. But I want to see what he's learned this offseason to correct himself during the game. Because how many times have we seen him do the same mistake in the same game? You know, to me, he kept making those mistakes because he didn't know better. Now, what did he learn this offseason?
How to make sure that he was getting that footwork in.
Yeah. Okay, look, man, you know, if you do this, when you come back, this is the proper way to do it. You know, because you're going to see this, you're going to see that, and you're going to react this way, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You can just imagine what they all talk about. But what I've seen from him is flashes of greatness and flashes of this dumbass. You know, if you make a dumbass move, next play you got to fix it. And don't do it again. You can't have multiple dumbass plays. And that's what I want to see. Because when he is pulling those dumbass plays back himself, that means he's learned. That means he's growing. And it's just a matter of time after that. But when you keep making those same mistakes over and over, game after game after game, you're not learning nothing. Because you're still doing them. So that's what I want to see from here. I'm not going to say I want to, see 4,500 yards, 22 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I'm not going to say that. What I want to see out of Anthony is his personal growth. And when he makes a mistake, I want to see him fix it because he knows how to fix it. He knows it was a mistake. If you know not to put your hand in this jar because it cuts you, you're only going to do it once. Because you learned, you grew, you got smarter. That's what I want to see. So to answer Nathan and Augustus' question, that's what I want to see. That's the kind of growth that I want to see. He's got everything else. You talked about his footwork. We talked about his mechanics. That's all
Mhm.
coachable. That comes. That will come. Absolutely will come. But making those mental errors, continue making the same mental errors. Or are you fixing those as you're going and progressing through the game? That's what I want to see. That's what great quarterbacks do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's all fair because we know, like, I have no doubt in my mind that he can do it. But the thing is, it's being able to do it consistently and do it in situations that aren't the norm, right? Because now I think there's also a fair assumption that the O line is going to be a little bit different. You lose two pieces of the interior, so the O line could absolutely be a little bit different. I don't feel like
Mhm.
there's going to be this crazy fall off, but I feel like there could be a little bit of an adjustment period with it. So for me, how is he going to be able to, I'm going to say, work through some of those things if that O line isn't the same as it once was? And that's going to be like another thing because honestly, if AR is able to improve and be better than he was before, knowing that we don't have Ryan Kelly anymore, knowing that you don't have Wolf Rise and you have this O line that's a little bit younger, that, like I said, that I'm not going to say worse, but I'm going to say might be good, but still will have moments where it's just like they're not the best. How will he respond? And if he responds accordingly, or he's able to respond better than he did last year when the O line technically was better, then that means that he's in a much better position and he actually developed much more than we were able to react to. And like I said, it's also about the fact that, and I've said this to people, certain people watching, they can probably attest to it. But I said I'm glad that we didn't get any videos of Anthony Richardson throwing because we're going to have to look in real time and I'm going to say take measure and be able to go ahead and really just look and see in real time what he looks like this year as opposed to last year. And I'm gonna say, because like I said, there's fans, and every fan is not gonna be the same because some go according to stats, some go according to the eye test, some are just, hey, you know what, we support Anthony Richardson and we support the Colts. But what I'm saying is that go into it understanding that this is a year forward in his maturation process in an off season where this is his first off season where he was actually able to truly do the work to get ready and do what he needed to do to be ready for the season. So we have to, I'm going to say, we have to go into that understanding that when we start seeing things, like I say, it's almost a Mr. Miyagi type deal. Don't get too high on the high, don't get too low on the lows. Make sure that we are going into everything understanding that okay, there's a chance that he is going, or there's a chance that he's going to be adjusting. But also, if for some reason that we see that he's throwing better, we can absolutely say, okay, fantastic. All right, then let's go ahead and see more. Because seeing what he can throw when he's just wearing, just a thin sweatshirt and some sweatpants is going to be completely different from once he puts on those pads, and then that's when we'll really be able to see what the work translates to.
100% agree.
Yeah. And then we said, so Nathan said, oh, but now he has a safety valve in Tyler Warren. Yes, he absolutely does. So that actually could pay dividends. Carvey says, AR will be better. He says, hi, Big P. And then Teresa says, since Kelly is gone, will Bortolini be our center? So, yes, I believe Bortolini is going to be our center. So, yeah, we can expect that to be what the case is for this upcoming season where and I think Bortolini played a little bit at center last year. I think he played center in the Jets game, and he actually did fairly well, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Sarah says, "Hey, Chris and Pat, how's everybody? Fantastic.
Sir.
Thank you for viewing. And by the way, big shout out to everybody because, like I said, I know that this is the off season. We're talking Colts and everything, and we know that a lot of times, there's not a lot going on in Colts Nation. But we're glad that you guys are tuning in anyway because you trust us, you love us, and that's fantastic. So we thank you.
But it's a good thing you're here because even though there's not a lot going on, the Anvil always has stuff going on.
hmm And Pat, so with that being said, and then Teresa says, did he just make a reference to the Karate Kid? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. All right.
He's aging himself.
Hey, no, hey, listen. We could talk about aging myself and everything. Okay,
That beard of his is just as great as mine is, but he colors it up.
Whoa! I color
I seen him
nothing.
do
This
it.
is not a single gray on me, player. All right, I just need you to understand that we ain't no grays over here. Okay, ain't no grays, but the shoes on my feet sometimes. All right, so let's just go ahead and make sure that we do that. But Pat, I know you said there's always something going on, so can you
There's
let the people know what we got going on?
yes. What is it? The 13th of this month, Saturday. No, next Saturday. Not this weekend, but next weekend, next Saturday.
Next,
Uh,
yeah, the 17th.
the 17th. That's it. We are honored to be a part of Kenny Moore's camp
Hmm.
that weekend, just like we was with Josh Downs' camp. Now it's going to be a little different because it's not at the Colts practice facility. It's actually at some high school in Fort Wayne, I believe.
Yeah, Fort Wayne. Yep.
Yeah, so we got that going on. So get your tickets, get your kids out there, get them coached up by lightning in the bottle. I mean,
Mhm.
shoot, it's a lot of fun. These guys come out here, they take their time with the kids, they talk to the kids, they coach the kids. It's laid back. Your kids get a different experience with these players than they do anywhere else.
Mhm.
They don't get the same Kenny Moore at training camp as you're going to get at this camp. Because he's going to be laid back. He's going to be relaxed. He's going to have a smile on his face. It just, the experience is completely different. And then with them teaching your kid how to play football, they'll remember it for a lifetime.
Absolutely.
So we got that coming up.
Where
and
can
then
they sign up?
You can go to, and I believe we put it on the page, on the Anvil page, but you can go to www.gamedayouthcamps.com.
Mm-hmm.
Pay your fee, do your sign up. They'll get T-shirts and all kinds of little swag stuff that they bring out for the kids. The Game Days does a really, really, really good job. And what's going to be real fun is we got permission to bring both our radio partners out to this camp. So Z103.com is going to be out there running live shows, and Mix 105 is going to be out there doing their thing again. So that's really cool.
Nice. Yes, there we go. www.gamedayouthcamps.com / and mind you, even if you don't put in the Kenny Moore Youth Camp, if you just go to gamedayouthcamps.com, it's very easy. I believe there's an events tab, and then it goes and lists them by date. So you can sign up for Kenny's camp, which is going to be not this weekend, but the following weekend. And you can also sign up for Zaire's camp, which is going to be in July. I
July.
believe that
Yeah,
one is 2 weeks before training camp.
Yeah. So I don't remember the exact date on Zaire's, but that's actually going to be down in Evansville.
Yes.
So Game Day is covering the whole state pretty much.
Yes, very much so.
So we're really excited about that. And really excited to see Zaire again. We haven't been able to get to talk to him since last year, actually. So that's going to be fun. And another cool thing about the Anvil is, we got people from East Coast to the West Coast, from North to the South that follow us. And they like multiple sports. And here in Indianapolis, we got a pretty big race coming up this month. Not sure if you heard of the Indianapolis 500. Yeah, it's an international event. People from all over the world come here to watch that race. So, Sammy, can you bring up Visit Indy's QR code? So, if you're coming in to town for race weekend, scan that QR code, get your hotels, food, beverage, liquor stores, whatever you need. That QR code right there, Visit Indy will have you squared away and taken care of. There'll be no more guessing. Well, I wonder, maybe I have to Google where this restaurant is. No, just go to Visit Indy. They'll take care of you. And what's real cool about Visit Indy is they run everything in this town. the convention centers, the stadiums, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We got concerts here. We get the Comic-Con. They run and take care of all these guys. So they're very, very, very good at hosting people into the city.
Yep, absolutely.
So you can scan that QR code and trust it 100% that they're right.
Yeah. And also, Nathan, we did Josh Downs' camp, and we have the interviews from there. If you go to the YouTube page, just go to Sick Podcast Anvil Show, and you'll be able to see the interviews that we did there, where we did interviews with Josh Downs, and we did the interview with Drew Ogletree as well. So yes, so make sure that you go to the YouTube page, and you'll be able to see that on there as well.
And Nathan, we even got to interview Josh's mom and dad. How often do you get to see that?
Yeah.
That
the whole entire the family except for Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb wasn't down this year. He was down last year.
Yeah.
But Caleb is actually doing his home camp up at Ohio State.
Yeah.
I don't know the date, but if you go to Game Day's website, it's on there. You can find out if you want to go check it out. And I seen a way too early prediction for 2026 draft, and they got Caleb in the top 10.
I think that was going to be a foregone conclusion, honestly.
I believe so too, especially if he can stay healthy. Yeah, the kid's a stud.
Yeah, absolutely. So so make sure that you are going to visit Indy. Like I said, if you didn't already, scan that QR code so you can see upcoming events. And then also, like I said, we have Kenny Moore's camp. Remember, you can sign up for Kenny Moore's camp at www.gamedayuthcamps.com, and you'll be able to just see it on there with the listing. That ends Zaires camp. So yeah. So with that being said, we're actually going to go ahead and get out of here since we don't want to be late. Make Sammy a little bit ticked off, so we don't want that. All right. So if you can, Sammy, pull up the social media handles so we can tell the people where to find us when we're not on here live in front of you. Yes, so you can find me on Twitter at CJ Colts fan. Mom called him Twitter. I'm gonna call him Twitter. Ain't none of that X stuff. What? That's dumb. Only X I acknowledge is the X-Men and DMX. So yeah, that's what we talk about. But what about you, Pat?
You can find me on X at Big P Colts.
You know what? I'm gonna actually throw you guys for a loop. So whenever you say you can find me on X, that actually sounds diabolical. Because that means that you can be found doing some very Pat-like things.
No, never, sir.
But you said find you on X.
At least I didn't say it like Clyde, the X.
Well, Clyde is old.
He is old.
So
old and retired. That's why he's not on the show now. He's taking a nap.
I don't know if that's the case. However,
it is.
I don't have any evidence to prove that he's not. So I mean,
as
far as we're concerned, we never know.
He's an old man. He's got to get his naps in.
and also, Sammy, can you please bring up the handle? Yes. So you can find us on Twitter at SickPodColts. Make sure that you are liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. Because as soon as we're done with this episode, it will immediately be posted. So you can watch it online or you can watch it wherever you like to watch it. And you'll be able to see all the links. So make sure that you're following at SickPodColts, or you can follow us at the Sick Podcast Anvil Show on Facebook. But other than that,
don't forget x103.com.
Oh, yes. We will be live on X103, or not live, but you can find the re-recording of this on x103.com. Tomorrow, I think, what time does it broadcast tomorrow, Pat? But noon Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 Mountain, 9 Pacific.
If you go to the website, you can download their app and play us right through their app.
Absolutely. Yes, you can. So,
and my guy told me that Mix 105 is pretty close to getting their app done as well.
Nice. Okay, so you'll be able to hear us on there as well. So yes, make sure that you're going z103.com. You can download the app. Just go to the App Store. whether it be the Google Play Store or the Apple iTunes Store or Apple, whatever that you go by now. But the Apple Store, yes.
We got to address Steve Snyder's comments here. He's no longer a friend of ours. He stopped tailgating with us, and I'm quite upset with him.
Okay,
There's
well,
no excuse.
Deal with that on your own time.
Sammy, take us out with the anvil.
Sammy, take us out. You're going to take us out. Yes.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast and Bill Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.